Luckily, one thing that has changed with social media is I feel like maybe like 10, 15 years ago, there was this whole like everyone wanted to be like nonchalant and cool and like, oh, I'm not trying that hard. And because social media is a thing, you can actually see everyone is trying pretty hard. And now it's like cool to try again. It changes the way you grade your artwork, which I think is unfortunate. Like you could paint the like best painting ever, and if you just posted it and didn't put or captioned it just the title of the piece, no one would see it and it wouldn't go anywhere. And like, you know, the work isn't now judged on the work, it's judged on storytelling and how good you are at putting it out there.
Hello, and welcome to Run of Show, a podcast about the creatives in the running industry. Today's episode is with Zach Litoff. Zach is a friend, an amazing runner, and a very talented artist. I'm really excited to share this conversation with you, and I hope you enjoy. Thanks so much for
it's awesome to be here.
I'm really excited to chat with you about so many things. But first, let's start with your name. I mean, I know you as a runner, as a photographer, as an artist. But I also would like you to tell me how you identify what you describe yourself as. So why don't you start with your name and all the things.
Yeah, so I'm Zach Litoff. I'd say I identify as like an artist first, probably. Which is definitely something that's changed. I feel like I identified as a runner first up until probably like a year or two ago. And then within the artist realm, you know, all the different mediums kind of come in from like photography, painting, illustration, design. I kind of all group them into just like being creative.
Very cool. What came first for you, running or art?
I would say it depends how far back you go. Like as something I took seriously, running, as something I was just doing in life, probably art. But I feel like a lot of people when they're really young get really into art in some ways. Me probably more than most people, but like, you know, like the preschool, loving art, going into elementary school, my favorite class was always art.
Okay, cool.
Middle school and so on, yeah.
Nice. Were you running in high school, college?
So I joined track in middle school and I quit in 6th grade. And then I joined again in high school and took it a lot more seriously.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was that break? I mean, you were 6th grade, so you were just a kid.
It was kind of just a kid. I joined the team, and the head coach of the track team was the head coach of the football team, and the vibe was just like very like drill sergeant football team, and I was kind of just like a 6th grader that didn't vibe with that, so I quit. And like I was really into soccer at the time, and like track was kind of just like I didn't want to do distance because that seemed like a lot of running, and so I was gonna do like hurdles or 400. Then like I don't know, I was more into soccer, so I kind of quit and focused on soccer until I got to high school, when then I had to choose between cross country or soccer. And I knew I was a lot better at running than I was at soccer, but I liked soccer more. But all my friends were joining cross country, so I joined cross country.
Oh, interesting.
And I had like a whole rebellious freshman year where I like didn't really try and like ran to the woods and joined the like, you know, the kind of JV open squad that had a great time, which honestly was so fun to do. And I'm glad I got that experience out of running. And then kind of sophomore year, I started taking it more seriously.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And I know you as a pretty fast runner, so I think that did you well.
Yeah, no, it definitely did. And so I ended up getting faster and faster in my senior year, placed well enough at state, where I went to Santa Clara University in South Bay, joined their track team, went on to start steeplechasing, and had a pretty successful steeplechase career.
You were a steeplechaser?
Yeah, I got,
Dude, that's so cool.
Yeah, so I was a steeplechaser. So like my roots from being a hurdler in middle school and quitting came back.
That's amazing. Steeplechase is one of those sports where I'm always fascinated to watch it, whether it be trials or Olympics or whatever. It seems so random.
Yeah, it is. I feel like I got into it because I didn't want to do the 10K, and being like a smaller person that ran more distance, I knew my coach was looking at me being like, you can run a lot of mileage, like you should do the 10K. And I really didn't want to do the 10K. So I was like, hey, let me try the steeple. And he was like, okay. But it turned out good. I like fell in love with the race. It's like kind of nice because I view it as 80 or 36 different 80-meter races rather than one giant race, which makes it way easier to like split up in your brain. And I'm one of those runners that like loves loops, you know, like some people are crazy and I'll do my like 10-mile midweek run. I would go do like a quarter-mile loop and just hit it 40 times.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I also love trail runs and, you know, getting outside and doing like actual pretty runs. But like if I'm just like locked in on something small and loops, I love it. So like kind of doing a race that just felt like 80 meters. Okay, another one, another one, another one was nice.
Are there different distances in steeplechase, or is it kind of just
There's the 2K and the 3K, but there's really just the 3K.
Okay.
In high school, they do the 2K, but only in certain places. And then there's like some early season 2K steeplechases.
Okay.
But as far as like what's in like a world athletics race, it's just the 3K.
Okay. So you were doing this in high school.
Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't start steepling until college.
Oh, until college.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And where was this? Was this in this Bay Area or?
Yeah, so I went to Santa Clara, which is in Santa Clara. And when I was a freshman, the 5th year captain on our team was Joey Barriatua, who went on to run a Tin Man. And he was a steepler. So he kind of took me under his wing and taught me how to hurdle, which was a lot of everyone else had to wake up at 8 o'clock and I would have to wake up at 7 o'clock, which was brutal, but it worked out, it paid off. And so he kind of just taught me how to hurdle. We didn't have any water pit to practice on. So I've actually never done a water pit not in a race.
Oh, funny.
Yeah. My coach was like, yeah, just if you can do it, you can do it. And I was able to do it. So it worked out.
Okay. Are you one of the ones that steps on the hurdle thing?
Oh, I only step on it on the water jump. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But some people step on it every hurdle,
Okay.
which is crazy. But like a lot of people, not as many people do, but like some of the Kenyans do. Kai Robinson, who ran at Stanford and now runs pro, he did when he steepled. And so some people do it all the time.
Okay. Do you always clear the water?
I get like 1 foot with like a foot to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Maybe on the last one when I'm going really fast, I'll clear it.
So then are like your feet wet for the race?
Yeah. So I have like a dominant foot and a non-dominant foot.
Okay.
And like I'd say of the 36 hurdles, I would hit probably 25 to 30 of them on my dominant foot.
Okay.
So it'd be a really funny experience. Like if your race is going really good, then like you'll be on lap 4 and only 1 foot's wet. And
so funny.
It's like this, and then like you'll start getting tired and your form will fall off and your like step count gets a little off and you'll hit it with your non-dominant foot, which really isn't that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And then you'll get 2 wet feet and you're like, okay, now it's evened out. Yeah.
That's so funny to think that like someone's running around a track in wet feet.
Yeah.
Oh, that's silly. Okay, cool. So then, when did you start kind of picking up more of the creative side of your work and like
so
expressing
that kind of goes more to, obviously I liked all the like art classes throughout middle school and so on. And then in high school there was, I torrented Photoshop on Pirate Bay back in the day.
Everyone did that.
Yeah.
I had the whole Adobe Suite torrented. Maybe I shouldn't say that.
Yeah, I know. Or I mean, now I'm a paying customer.
Yeah, same.
But so I torrented Photoshop and got really into just like taking pictures of my friends and like using like liquify on their eyes and like making funny things. And then there was a graphic design course and I signed up for it and really liked it. And I also was taking like painting and pottery, just like when you got to choose your classes, I was like, I'm going to choose art over like an advanced bio or something. Like it just sounds more fun. And then so I ended up independent studying in graphic design every year because I really liked the teacher.
Cool.
But I still didn't think of it as like what I wanted to do in my life. It was just like, if I have extra time, this is what I'm going to spend doing. And then when I got to college, I came in undeclared. I then actually declared a physics major during my freshman year. And then end of my sophomore year, dropped the physics major and switched it to a studio art major.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Physics to studio art. That's quite the pipeline.
Yeah. I mean, I like physics. I still really do. But I just didn't like the research side of it, the like career side of it. I liked the like education and the learning, but then like I didn't want to be in a lab doing research or being a professor teaching physics. So I was like, I don't think this is what I want to do with my life. And then I like freaked out and switched to studio art. And then I added a independent study major as well because I felt like the studio art major lacked, or like didn't lack, but there wasn't that many classes, so there was opportunity to add something else.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I was a super physics guy too. I loved it. I feel like I think about physics so much too, and like running and like I almost feel like basic physics is something everyone needs to experience.
I agree. Physics is like should be core. It should be core curriculum. It's so nice.
Just to understand like gravity and friction and like lever arm. Like there's just some basic things that I feel like I look at the world and I'm like, this chair works and isn't crooked.
Yeah,
because
and I know how.
Yeah, I know how. And I feel like that's like such basic stuff that
and I feel like it teaches really good problem solving because it gives you all these like, here's how gravity works, here's how friction works. And then it gives you a problem where you have to like come up with, there's no like perfect way. There's probably like the most efficient way, but you can get to the answer in many different ways. And so it kind of teaches you how to like look at what you have and how to get there.
Yeah.
Which I think is something I've also put into art, is like, like applying different mediums and looking at like a painting I love and be like, how did they get there? And what tools do I have that can mimic that and things like that.
Yeah, I'm an engineering background, physics to electrical engineer. And I also like love dissecting how people do certain things with the camera or photos or video or whatever. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. So you were doing studio art as your major.
So then I was studying studio art. And then COVID hit my junior year.
Oh, I didn't realize you were still in school when COVID hit. Okay.
So I was in school. And one of my professors, like the person who was my advisor, who was kind of like the professor I was closest with, wanted us to turn in all of our, like, since I was a sculpture class, everything had to be turned in via a photo. And he was like, you should really, we also run a class called Arts 100 at the time, which was like the business of art, which is basically just like our professor being like, here's your actual career options.
Interesting.
And he was like, everyone should submit all their work via social media. Like, you don't have to, you can send me an image if you really hate it, but like, you should. It's in your best interest.
Okay.
So then I made an Instagram, and my sister had been pressuring me to make one as well. So I made an Instagram to submit a lot of my artwork.
So you hadn't had an Instagram at this point?
I had like my personal Instagram, but I hadn't been posting art on Instagram until COVID.
Okay.
And then I posted it more as just like originally it was just like, here's my life drawing homework, here's my sculpture homework. And some of that I've kept up, but most of it I deleted.
Interesting. Okay.
But yeah, and then at this point, some of my friends that were on the team, like Joey was now running pro, and I had different friends I had met that were kind of like pro runners. And so I did some drawings of them, knowing that they might share it and it could like reach a larger audience. And that's kind of how my account turned into a bit more of like a running niche. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I feel like that business of art is such a good class. And I don't know if it's required of artists, but it feels like it should be.
It should be. I don't know if every school requires it, but it was one of the more, I feel like there's so many, if I could go back, I always say I would have not studied art, but I would have studied art history. Because I feel like a lot of the things in art you can teach yourself or learning, like obviously there's some things that's nice to have someone teach you, but like you can learn it on your own or you can be self-taught. But like art history was so valuable for me. I wish I had taken more classes in that. But that one class, Arts 100, was one that like was a very important class, I feel like. Just like learning how to apply to shows, learning, what an art director role is or creative director, learning like how you can pivot to marketing or pivot to other careers. And
yeah, I feel like there's so many paths, and I want to get more into that too with you later. But before, I want to go a little bit into the art history angle. So you really enjoyed the art history class you did take, but you wish you'd gone deeper into it. What about art history?
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like art history is it's almost like, here are successful artists. Like, here's what people did that worked. And like, you can learn so much just from like looking at painters you love or designers you love, or like one, by following their career and being like, here are the choices they made that worked. How can I like think about that in my own? And two, being like, here's literally how they solved this like visual problem of, filling a space, or like color theory, or little things of just like, picking and choosing what you want to steal from different people. And like the more people you have to look at, the more knowledge you have, the like better understanding you have of all the art out there. I feel like the better your art will be.
Definitely. Yeah. I feel like, and often people, I feel like good artists, have very obvious influences from like a handful of former artists, right? Sort of that effect, do you feel like you have anyone that's inspired your art?
I mean, it's always changing. But as far as like, artists back in the day, probably Matisse would be one of my favorites. A lot of the like basic artists, but they're basic for a reason. They're just so good. But like Picasso is really good. Miro's amazing. But then as far as like, modern day artists, there's so many too that I feel like I also follow. But you have to I feel like I love following artists that are dead, because like, it's almost like more fair game to like see what they've done and try it out. If there's like an artist right now that's very successful, like I don't want to do the same thing as them.
Totally, yeah.
But like if I draw a face and like Picasso drew a face in some way, I can straight up throw that on one of my paintings and be like, art history reference. And it's not like rude, but if I was to like take a painting that like Will Bryant had done and do the same thing, I would feel bad about it. He would be upset. Other people would judge you. Like, yeah, it just feels, that's why I think art history would be something I wish I studied more of.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I feel like there's like the side of things where, you follow someone who inspires you, who's still, still alive and still makes art. And there's a part of it that you're like, oh, that's so cool that they did this. How did they do it? And you want to kind of diagnose it and you want to like learn and maybe take a piece of it for your own thing, right? But obviously you don't want to recreate exactly because one, it might not be exactly your thing, but two, you obviously don't want to step on someone's toes. And
totally.
But there are people who do, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You probably have some people who've tried to copy.
Yeah, I've had a couple things, but it's never that big of a deal. I'm usually like,
yeah. And it's, you know, that's the thing too. It's like, I feel like if you're the artist and you're following your own path, not worrying about other people, you know, you're like leading. And if someone's trying to copy you, it's like they're kind of in the past.
Totally, that's what
and
I'm
they're following.
Like if someone's following me, that means I'm doing something right.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And like my work's always going to change, so I'll just be like 1 or 2 steps ahead of them. You know.
Exactly. Okay, so you took your art and you kind of applied to this running niche.
Yeah.
And you got some following. You got a following through having these runners, these famous runners share.
Yeah, I mean, not that big of a following, but a following of people that cared about running. So it kind of gave me enough of a niche in the running world where I had like a base of people that were like not just my friends that liked my artwork. And then I decided to stay a 5th year for running because I wanted to like kind of give one last full send into running and see how fast I could be.
Hell yeah.
Which was super cool.
How fast you get?
My best time was I ran 8:32 in the steeple, and then 13:52 in the 5K. Wow. Yeah. So nowadays people are crushing that, but like
I know, but that's still fast as hell.
Yeah, it was good.
Holy crap! So when you're running steeple, like how much do the actual hurdles slow you down?
Yeah. So that same year I ran like 8:05 in the 3K flat.
Oh wow.
But 8:32 is a lot better of a time than 8:05, like in comparison. Like there are a lot of people breaking 8. I think that year I ran like the 5th or 6th fastest time in the NCAA for just steeple. But for 3K, I wouldn't have even been in the top like 70.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn. So do you wish you had continued further? Or I guess you can't really go college anymore. You'd have to go kind of
you would have to go pro. I was pretty close to making the Olympic trials. I think I was 1 spot off. Might have been 2, but it was like the cutoff was 8:32 and I ran 8:32.2 or something.
Oh.
Yeah, brutal. But like,
brutal.
it was pretty brutal. I was like crushed for a little bit, but like that's how it goes, you know? Yeah. And like it's led me into doing what I do now, and I love that. Like, I don't know. I don't get too caught up on it. I feel like that would be unhealthy, but like, yeah, I mean, it would have been cool, but running's very stressful. Competing in running is extremely stressful. Art's a lot less stressful. So like there's benefits, you know?
Totally. Yeah. Well, you know, I think that happens all in so many ways in life, and like something doesn't work out. Yeah. You know, doors close, other doors open. Yeah. And so this booming art career kind of, I feel like, totally allowed you to expand that and explore that.
And stay in the running world, which is something I care about, which is cool. Yeah. So yeah, then when I graduated, I had been working at an agency since my sophomore year summer, so right before COVID. I got like an internship in an agency, and then it stopped, but then COVID started and they hit me back up and was like, hey, everyone went remote. If you want to like pick back up as a junior designer, we'll take you back on.
Oh, sick.
And I was like, sure. Yeah. I was like, I'm gonna be in California, but sure.
Where were they?
They're Boulder. Okay. They were like a smaller agency based in Boulder, which was really cool. Honestly, probably one of the more beneficial things for me because I learned how an agency functions. I saw how they did pitch decks. I got to sit in. It was like a smaller agency, so I got to like sit in on the meetings with the CEO and the clients and just like kind of learn how they like conduct themselves. And then I got to I was a junior designer, so I was like, wasn't creating anything cool, but I was like getting to fine tune all the processes that are helpful as like, you know, packaging files, like organizing everything. When someone finishes their drawing, making a vector, like all the little things that I feel like are just like good practice skills. And then when I graduated, I was like, I'll work here full time. And they were like, you should go do something better.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They're like, we'll take you, but like, you should apply to other jobs, see what you can get. And I was like, okay, fair. So I was a little salty, but I think it was for the best. Like it was definitely for the best. They were totally right. So I applied to a ton of jobs and I didn't get any jobs. I got 1 informational interview, 0 interviews.
You were applying as a graphic designer?
I was applying as a graphic designer, creative. Honestly, I feel like I applied to a ton of jobs, but now as I talk to people who actually applied to a ton of jobs, I didn't apply to that many jobs.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Are we talking like 10?
I think I applied to probably like 20.
That still seems, I mean,
Yeah.
man, maybe the job market's worse than when I was back in it, but damn.
Yeah, but didn't turn into anything. And then the Nike Econ that was local to San Francisco. I was at this whole time I was still like, posting drawing and artwork, drawings and artwork and running stuff. And the local Econ reached out and was like, hey, we have a project for the Ninja Loop. If you want to do like a graphic for it, like we have a small budget, we could pay you.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I definitely need money. And that sounds like perfect. So I did it and I was like very nervous because it's like my first kind of professional project. And it was with Nike, even though it's kind of a smaller role within Nike, but like I was very nervous to do it. And like I didn't know what to charge. And like I kind of knew from agency background and talking to other people, like kind of how to conduct myself, but like to actually do it on your own is another thing. But then I made the Ninja Loop sweatshirt design and they turned it into like a print, some stickers. And it was really fun because I like went and I hadn't run the Ninja Loop yet. So she like asked me and I went and like field research a day where I just went and like ripped the Ninja Loop a ton and like, but yeah, and that was kind of my first project. And from there, I think some of the other econs around the US saw it because they like present it in their meeting. And then I got other projects and kind of just slowly built up like a group of people I've done projects for from there on.
That's awesome. I remember that because I was the one doing the Trail Thursdays. And I remember that design and being like, oh, this is sweet. Like, who did this? And that's kind of when I first, I think, heard about you and your work. And then we were fortunate enough to hire you for a project for something we were doing. And yeah, you've had so many projects since then that have all been great.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, going back to the, your time at the agency, I feel like I also spent time at an agency. And it's so helpful to have a little bit of a mentor kind of relationship with people who've been in industry.
Totally.
To know like how to price, how to pitch, how to conduct yourself, you kept saying, which is something totally like just how to work with clients, right? And how to like interface with them, how to take feedback, how to apply that feedback to deliver new work. All that is just so helpful to have done it in that setting before you go out and try to do it yourself. So it's very cool.
I feel like everyone that can should work agency for a tiny bit.
Yeah.
I think you can get the similar thing from working in-house, but you get a little different. I had some of that experience as well later on. But I feel like bouncing around from freelance to agency to in-house, kind of the more experience you can get, the better.
Totally.
Because you get all the different angles of like working with clients, which is cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think too, like mentorship is such a huge thing. Even back in the day, like artists all were mentored by other artists, like
assistants.
Totally, yeah. You really, I mean, in any craft, you were like an assistant and like a journeyman. Like
you were that whole scribe like, way back in the day, where you just copy people's paintings.
Yes, 100%. And so, we've kind of gotten away from that a little bit. I think some people go right from school, which sometimes you have good mentors in school, but some people go right from school to trying to do their own thing. And I feel like that if you go a route where you get some good experience first, whether an industry or agency or whatever, it's so helpful.
Totally. Yeah. And I feel like there's, especially in the design world's changing so much that like school can only teach you so much. Like, right now I have a new junior designer / like intern helping me out on projects.
Oh, cool.
Which is super fun. She runs at USF and she like hit me up and it's super cool.
Nice.
But like what they're teaching her versus like what I'm like, no, this is like what you actually do is like probably like 3 or 4 years lagged. And I kind of can feel the same like looking at my college education where it's like a lot of the tools I'm using on a daily basis, they never taught me. And like what they did teach me is like, helpful for using it, like learning Photoshop and Illustrator teaches you how to mask things and like how these tools and programs work. And then like switching over to Procreate is like basically the same, but that just wasn't a thing until I was like a senior in college. They weren't going to teach it. And I feel like they're still not teaching it, but they will at some point,
Yeah, maybe like eventually. But, I mean, they're probably, schools, I mean, they lag, of course, and they're using tools like Photoshop that are like, Photoshop's kind of the big name in this kind of industry. So I'm sure that's what they want to stick with. And I've messed around with Procreate too. It's such a fun little tool. And it takes a lot of the Photoshop is great and powerful, but you have to know how to customize it and figure out all the tools to get exactly what you want. Whereas like sometimes things like Procreate and can kind of give you a little bit of beginner's like a little ease, a little push into like,
Yeah.
like, just pick this brush. It's kind of set up for you, you know, go have fun.
Totally. Yeah.
That's cool. Oh, that's fun. So wait, are you working with a company now, or is this person that's helping you out is helping you in your art?
Helping me and my art, which is so helpful.
That's awesome.
She's amazing. Yeah. She's
First hire.
First hire. I know. I mean, she reached out to me and was like, basically there's a class at USF that's basically like independent study / internship. And she was like, if I do X amount of hours, I get this many credits. And I'd rather do that than like take a class. And she's like, so if you'll sign off and like let me help you, then I'm down. And I was like, yeah, this is like the best opportunity for me ever.
That's so cool.
Which is also really helpful because I get to like learn how to mentor someone and teach them.
Yeah.
And like learn how to be a manager, which is another thing I feel like a good skill to have.
100%.
Yeah. And it's cool, like the things that felt so obvious to me, seeing them not be obvious to other people, and the things that like were so obvious to her that weren't obvious to me. And just like having someone to bounce ideas off of and like send artwork and have her critique what I'm doing is like so helpful.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I feel like you learn so much by trying to teach someone.
Definitely.
So having that's hugely beneficial as well.
Yeah.
And then just having someone to bounce ideas around is such a fun. I miss that about in-office collaboration.
Yeah, and she comes over for like 3 hours a week. And it's fun because otherwise I'm working alone most of the time. So like she'll come over and I'll like give her a project, but then like, you know, someone to bounce ideas off of in person is fun.
Yeah, totally. I think I'm still missing that from my work, and someday I'd like to have like a creative partner in a way.
Yeah, I agree.
Even if we're all doing our separate things, just like having that shared space where we can come together and just bounce ideas.
Totally,
is so fun. That's great. Okay, so tell me a little bit about your creative process and you know how it's developed over time. You know, how do you go from a blank canvas to something we're seeing around this room?
Yeah. I mean, I think it kind of changes. Some things are more spontaneous and some are more planned, which I think is good to have both. But I would say usually for me, it starts without the purpose of like creating something in specific. It'll just be me either pencil and paper or most commonly on Procreate, just because you get the undo tool, which is like life-changing. Also bad for you. I think sometimes it's good to have pencil and paper where you can't undo. Which is,
you have an eraser, right?
Yeah, but like an eraser, it's just like, I like clean lines. Like I don't like erase marks. And when I draw, I usually draw in like paint marker now if it's on paper or pen. So I don't actually use pencils unless I'm like I'll use pencils on a canvas if I'm gonna paint over it to like pre-mark what I'm gonna do. But usually I'll start kind of just like doodling or on Procreate. And it's like, I'll draw forms of runners or I'll draw like over a picture or like just kind of like messing around. And then it will just live there forever until later on I'll be like, oh, I need like a cool figure. Let's see what I've drawn in the past. I'm like, oh, that one's actually pretty good. Like, what if I changed it? And then I'll kind of repurpose old drawings into things. So like most of the t-shirts I design or branding I've done or paintings I've done or like general artwork is kind of just like looking over either pictures I've taken or drawings I've done and being like, how can I reuse this now?
Cool. Yeah, I've noticed that you have, over the years, you've had so many different types of running figures over the years. I mean, it's only been like 2, 3 years.
It's only been like 3 years.
But yeah, I noticed you haven't settled on one. Like you haven't picked one. And I love that you keep experimenting with different ones, you know, to try out different things. Like this is very different than, I just saw you were doing some other, I mean, that one over there is very different. Do you like kind of mixing it up? Are you still trying to find your one? Or do you feel like you enjoy having not having one?
I would love to have one. I feel like I'm narrowing in, but I don't know if I ever want to like have one figure. I feel like if running's gonna be a medium for me commonly, like if I'm gonna be painting a lot of things about running and drawing, then like the style doesn't have to be exactly the same because the like image itself carries that message. But I'll definitely try to like weave things in that make it feel core to me. There's just like, you know, little like I really like adding this like zigzag pattern that's kind of on the feet there. I guess it isn't as much on that one, but I kind of try to do with the like, but like little accents I really like adding that like feels like it brings it together a little bit, but like the actual figure itself, I feel like changes a lot. Like sometimes I've gone through eras where people will be like, oh, it's like super, I mean, era being like 6 months, but where it's like everything's really geometric. And then I'll be like, okay, I can't be geometric now. So I'll try to make everything very, very organic. And then like, but I don't think I've settled in on a style, and I doubt I ever will, but I think I'll narrow more towards something.
Yeah, I feel like it's pretty common for an artist to have something that when you see it, you're like, that is so-and-so. I mean, all the famous artists in the past, it's like you can look at something and you're like, that was so-and-so's.
Yeah.
But maybe in today's day and age, artists have to mix it up more. Maybe things get stale quicker.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, I think ideally I'd still love if that was the case. But I'm not gonna rush it, I feel like I found a couple things that I'm like, oh, this is good. This is something that feels like new that I haven't seen a ton of, that I will start to do more of. But I feel like it's easy to think that every artist kind of has this is them. But like, if you look at artists over their whole career, like Picasso has this like blue era where like the common theme was basically just that he painted with blue paints. And then he had he had a whole period before he was super abstract. And then he got really abstract. And like Matisse had like his paintings that were kind of like, that's actually from his paper cut era, where he had like an era where everything he did was from cutting out paper. But then before that, he was like artists still kind of had like distinct phases or like albums of music, I guess, where like, they have this thing and then this thing and they switch it up a lot. And I feel like now that time period is definitely shortened because you can just create so much faster. You can put work out so much faster. And you have to, which is like good and bad. But like, so I still feel like it's like good to change things as you go, but I think kind of having a clear evolution is important. And I feel like that's something I'm working on getting more of.
Very cool. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about that feeling of have to and, having to put stuff out quicker, having to make stuff quicker. And you mentioned earlier too, one of your professors telling you to put something on social media. How do you feel like this age of social media is kind of changing the art world and your work?
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to complain because it's the only reason I'm able to do what I'm doing. And I feel like that's kind of like sums up how I feel a little bit about it. But like, I love drawing. I love being an artist. Posting on social media is not my like passion in life. But every job has its thing that's like, not the like reason you join the job, but part of what you do. And it's not like I hate doing it. Like I made YouTube videos of me doing trampoline flips when I was a kid. Like making videos is something I like doing. I just like drawing more. And like talking into a camera sometimes can feel cringy, but you just gotta be like, this is what I'm doing, like trying my best. And I feel like luckily one thing that has changed with social media is I feel like maybe like 10, 15 years ago, there was this whole like everyone wanted to be like nonchalant and cool and like, oh, I'm not trying that hard. And because social media is a thing, you can actually see everyone is trying pretty hard. And now it's like cool to try again, which is nice. Like now like you can post cringy content. People are like, oh, well, he's trying, which is better than not trying. So, but yeah, I mean, it's like posting videos and pictures is sometimes hard. And it changes the way you grade your artwork, which I think is unfortunate. Like you can have an amazing paint, like you could paint the like best painting ever, and if you just posted it and didn't put or captioned it just the title of the piece, no one would see it and it wouldn't go anywhere. And like the work isn't now judged on the work, it's judged on storytelling and how good you are at putting it out there. Which I think bothers me a little bit, but it's also just like it's that I'm sure that was always somewhat part of it. Like if you go back 100 years ago, if you were the best painter ever but you just like lived in your attic and never showed your paintings, it wouldn't go anywhere. So
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it is a bit of a marketing tool. And it's so pervasive that if you're not on it, I don't even know. I mean, I'm exploring different ideas on how to be off it. I like you don't love being on Instagram or the social media.
It's also just so addicting.
Yeah, that and like it just it can be a distraction and sometimes it bums me out or ruins creativity, with the discourse of the day and age. But I do feel like it can be a necessity. And it is interesting that you almost end up catering your work a little bit for it.
Yeah, it's like you have to make artwork for the algorithm a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was always, I think what I tell myself is like all the things that I complain about or in my mind I like get a little like annoyed about were always the case. It's just like a new version of it. Like there was always some form of marketing your artwork. Like back in the day, I'm sure you like if you were a smaller artist, you had no chance of getting big, and now you do. You're just competing. like in a better way, I guess.
Mhm.
Like before it was just, do you know some rich duke, or you know the like king of England? And now it's like, are you good at making videos? And like,
Yeah.
you know, making videos is a little annoying, but it's better than just like knowing someone.
Totally. Yeah, and it gives you, I guess, maybe a little bit more leeway and making your own path. I mean, now you can be an artist and maybe have a better opportunity or a better chance of making money because platforms exist that have bigger reach than you know, your neighborhood, your block, whatever.
Yeah.
I noticed, I want to read something I saw on your Instagram.
Oh man.
So this was a post you had about all of your film photos you've taken. So you started off with kind of saying, I bring my camera everywhere, film camera. And you go on to kind of talk about social media and about what we're just talking about now. And you say, paraphrasing here, I can only post perfect work. I can only show work once, and if it's 100% done.
Yeah.
No one wants to see photos of me.
Yeah.
Unless it has to do with running. No one wants to see, unless it has to do with running, no one wants to see it. If it's about personal life, it won't do well on socials. I have to draw over every image.
Yeah.
I don't want to limit creativity, and my mind limits my creativity. And then you kind of, in the description you quoted, creativity is allowing mistakes, art is knowing what to keep. So yeah, talk to me a little bit about that, because I think that's really interesting. And you know, while we do want to succeed in business, and you do want to make enough money where you can continue living where you live in one of the most expensive cities in the world, and making beautiful art without having to, you know, have a corporate job, say. There is a little bit of the social media presence that kind of, if you want to do it well, there is a little bit, you're playing to this algorithm that maybe doesn't want some of that other stuff. You know, you can almost have to pigeonhole yourself. It feels like. You know, what do you think about this, and how have you kind of gone through that?
I definitely sometimes get in like where I feel like that, and then sometimes I'll kind of feel not as pigeonholed by it. But I mean, there definitely is something to be said of like the algorithm wants you to like find the one thing that you make and just make that on repeat and repeat and repeat. And I don't think that's great for creativity. But you know, I think, like I was saying, doesn't want to see pictures of me unless I'm running, and I think sometimes it does, but it has to still relate to running, and that's what like, you know, like is hard to find and sometimes is annoying. But I'm definitely, I think kind of the point of me posting that was me being like, I'm gonna try to post some of these things regardless. And the thing about some of it also was like the algorithm wants me to find the one thing that works and only post that. And then me personally wants to just post all my best, most finished work. Like I want to just take a picture of my painting and be like, look at what I made. But like, I think one, it's not best for me only to post pictures of my finished work. Like people care about the process, and it's cool to see unfinished work. And like, if I was only finishing things I was 100% finished with, I wouldn't be posting that often. And like, maybe that's good, but also sometimes it's fun to like the people I like following, it's cool to see their unfinished work and see what they're up to. But then the algorithm also like wants you to only post about running, and I want to post about everything. So I think it's kind of was me trying to be like, I'm going to like compromise on some of the things that feel like I should do because I know that I shouldn't actually do them. And I'm going to compromise on some of the things the algorithm wants me to do because I know that like, I don't want to do that. It was kind of me being like, you know, I'm going to compromise a little bit, and the algorithm's going to compromise a little bit, and hopefully it works out.
Rebel a little bit.
Yeah.
Did that post do well?
It did pretty well. It wasn't like my best post.
Yeah.
It was like, I mean, it's hard to know what doing well is these days. Like,
so true.
You know, like it didn't go viral, but the people who saw it seemed to like it.
Yeah. Have you had something go viral?
I've had a couple things go like viral. I've had a few. I mean, also depends on what viral is, but like, I had one series that I'm still doing. I just like get distracted, but it's I take pictures of houses and then would paint over them funny faces that kind of like meshed with the neighborhood or like the history of the area, or I kind of hide in little like Easter eggs into it. And that series did pretty well. I should have posted more on it and been like more on top of it.
Yeah. It's funny, it's not running related at all.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like I think I was in a mood posting that, being like, oh, everything has to be running, but like it doesn't. Yeah, it wasn't running related, and it was kind of about me a little bit too, because it was like I moved to the city and it gets so much hate, and I'm like, the city's great. Here's a picture of this house that's like not in shambles. Yeah, so that one did pretty well. And then I've had like a couple running related ones go like not viral, but get like 20,000 views, 50,000 views, things like that. I had the post I did about beta breakers got 75,000 views recently, which was, I think, the most followers I gained from any one post.
Was that the one where you redid their artwork?
Yeah.
Nice.
And I have like more to post on that too, so I'm hoping that does well. But I also waited a while to post more about it, so that'll probably shoot me in the foot a little bit.
Coming up in a couple weeks?
Yeah, May 18th.
May 18th. Okay, so a month and a half-ish.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I've noticed a little bit of rebellion, I think, in your work with, one, that kind of post where you're like, screw the algorithm.
Yeah.
I want to post this stuff. Two, I think you kind of come at existing race art and race design a little bit, which I love. And then I also love the house thing again, like coming at like, if you don't live in the Bay Area, maybe even sometimes in the Bay Area, there's this sentiment that San Francisco is like needles and shit and like disgusting and like horrible. But Patty and I talk about this all the time. When you live in the city, it's freaking beautiful here.
Yeah, it's so pretty.
Yeah, I was walking in the Presidio last night with my dog, and the sun was setting, and I was like in this like beautiful eucalyptus like forest. It was just so pretty, and I was like, this city is awesome.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, I love this city. Like, I totally agree. I feel like whenever I have people come visit, it's like always eye-opening to like kind of get their takes on the city before they show up, and then to show them. And I always try to give people like a very honest, full tour of the city where like, if we go out to eat in North Beach, I'll be like, hey, let's drive back through the Tenderloin. Like, you should see this. So like when you see random Fox News thing, you're not like, they photoshopped and made up this whole thing. But you can see like, oh, you drove in and then 6 blocks later you drive out and it's like a normal neighborhood where people are getting food, but there's like a homeless problem and it's sad. But yeah, I mean, I love the city. I love that series too. I really want to finish it. My goal is to do like 20 of them. I've done 6. So I kind of need to like get through, but I did gather a lot of the photographs. So I kind of have like, it's ready to go if I just like log into it.
Is it like one a neighborhood kind of vibe? Or what are you?
I mean, I feel like one a neighborhood that I feel like I know something about its culture, history. Like, there are some parts of San Francisco I probably won't do just because I don't know them as well. But most of the neighborhoods, we'll probably get one.
So do you have the house pictures already and you're just kind of like waiting to...
Yeah, I have most of them.
Okay, cool.
I mean, it's a lot of like, it was fun too, because I would go on a lot of like, where I'd just like drive to a neighborhood, park my car, and then just go for like a 6-mile run, like street, and wait till I find the one house and I'm like, whoa, that's a sick house. Or like that feels core to this neighborhood, or like, and it has to kind of have a couple features that like, and I learned a lot about the architecture here, which was super cool. Like there's like certain houses styles that like are built on repeat, and I learned kind of why that is. And then you learn like, oh, this neighborhood was built during this time period and they were built using this method, and like, and all the like billionaire families that basically like grew San Francisco up, to learn like, oh, like this street is named after this guy who was cousins with this dude who was like the president. And this street was like this whole like neighborhood, like the Richmond was named after someone with the last name Richmond. And then I could be mixing up stories, but then on Funkston, 13th Street, the house that I photographed was who was the guy who was neighbors with John McLaren, who did John McLaren Park, who was just some like philanthropist billionaire. Yeah. And he was the guy who like maybe did the polo field. Basically all these people that started the city, there was like 30 of them, and they all have a ton of power. And their grandkids still now have a lot of power, which is interesting to learn about.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you know what they do? Are they just kind of like philanthropists in the
philanthropists,
city?
A lot of them, work in tech.
Okay.
Things like that, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's something that I always valued about my Days in November project, where we would do workouts in different parks around the city. Yeah. Something I loved about our Urban Oasis film we made. Yeah. The more you get to explore the different parts of the city, the more you really do fall in love with.
Totally. Now, doing that map was super helpful for me too, because then I knew where all the places were. I was oh, I should go run this trail, run this thing. Like when I'm hopping at like the like little trail that runs through the sunset on all the peaks. Yes. That one, sick. All those views from the top of those mountains are insane.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, I haven't been up there in a while. I need to go like go do like a Twin Peaks run and like hit what's the Buena Vista? No, there's Buena Vista, yes. Yeah. In Corona Heights, but
the first one in Sunset.
Yeah. Why am I drawing a blanket? Something View, Grand View.
Grand with the staircase.
Yeah. That's a sick one.
Yeah, Glen Canyon. I hadn't run Glen Canyon until we made that thing, and I was like, I should go run Glen Canyon to see what this is about. I think you told me like you should run Glen Canyon.
It's sick,
and it's amazing.
It's crazy we even have like a canyon like that in the city.
And then people are hating on San Francisco, and I'm like, this is literally like we have a whole canyon in the middle of our city, and no one ever talks about it.
Yeah,
and some people who live here don't even know about it.
I know that's it's some. I mean, some people get so stuck in their own neighborhood or maybe where they work in their neighborhood, but you got to explore all the parks, all the neighborhoods. It's just everything is different. You can find really a neighborhood that speaks to you. Yeah. A park that speaks to you anywhere. In McLaren Park too, it's like so far away and I never go down there, but every time I've been,
it's really pretty.
This is so cool. It's pretty big too.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, back on track with the rebellious posts.
Yes. Yeah,
I feel like I do. Those work well with the algorithm, which is one reason I do them. But it is also kind of core to how I feel a lot of the times. Like my dad had all these awesome race shirts, and I'm just like jealous a little bit. I'm like, I want to have like, like he'll have like Woodstock 10K from New York, and it's this like incredibly cool shirt. And then I'll run a race, and it's like not that cool. And like, but then sometimes I'm like, maybe it's just not that cool because it's not 40 years old. I'm like, so then I'm like, maybe I'm going, cool and I'm like, maybe I'm going too hard on these. But then I don't know. But yeah, those posts work well. And I'm usually like, I feel like I could do better. And on social media, that's kind of what you have to do is like poke the bear a little bit to get something in return.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think in many ways too, sometimes being an artist is a little bit about rebellion. Yeah. Just because you've chosen a path that isn't necessarily the traditional money-making path. But anyway, let's segue that into a little bit about the business side of things. So coming from an agency background, you obviously had a little bit better notion on how to get clients, how to, that even getting clients was a thing. And you had this business class that showed you all the different paths. And you kind of chose, it seems like more of a designer, getting clients independent path versus like art director at a brand or something. Yeah. Talk a little bit about that. Why did you pick that?
Yeah. I mean, I would say some of that is I was applying to kind of like creative director or like junior designer up through creative director, kind of that route. And I'm not against doing that type of stuff. I have like helped produced photo shoots from like a creative director role. But I kind of just went the design side of it because it felt like something like tangible that I put my hands on right away and start doing something. And I feel like without a lot of experience, kind of getting into more of a creative director role is really hard to sell yourself on. And I feel like I would love to do that eventually. And I feel like I'm like learning all the different sides. Like one thing I love about what I get to do is I get like so many different mediums to practice in, whether it's like painting or like spray painting all the way to like digital photography, some video stuff, some like film photography. Like I feel like I'm learning all these different mediums, not at the most, like in none of the things I do I feel like I'm better than the people that only do that thing. Sure. But I think my ability to blend them is what sets me apart. And then also as if I ever want to get into more of the director role, like I'll actually understand enough about what the people that I'm working with are doing where like I can like speak their language a little bit, which would be cool.
Yeah, there's that breadth versus depth kind of concept. I feel like it's hard to be depth in one thing these days because the world is so connected and there are people who have just been doing it forever. Totally, It's like to be the best film portrait photographer, let's say. That's such a broad category and there's people out there who crush that. Totally. It's be really hard to become the best. Yeah. But, I think blending your unique experiences, your unique, maybe other things you bring to the table is the way to kind of niche down and like differentiate yourself. And you're doing that kind of with taking the photos, painting over them, exploring with just the painting, exploring with just the photo, like you're doing kind of all of that.
Yeah. So one of the things I mentioned, I didn't really mention it, but I said I also independent studied as like my second major. And basically independent studying meant that as long as you could find a program that wasn't offered at your school and you had classes that were similar enough to it and you wrote a ton of essays and basically argued your point, you could take whatever classes you wanted.
Oh, that's cool.
So I called my major product design just because basically I found all the classes I wanted to take. This was before ChatGPT. Now I would have just plugged into ChatGPT and been like, what major is this? But I had to like look at all these different schools and be like, okay, like Rhode Island School of Design offers this thing that has this class and this class, and it's pretty similar. And it ended up being closest to product design, but it allowed me to take engineering classes and a lot of marketing classes, and also blend in the art classes I was already taking. But so from that, I learned a lot about marketing, and a lot of that was about niching down.
Interesting. Okay.
Which I was kind of at the same time as I was like posting on social media and being like, oh, I should lean into this running thing.
Okay. So what is your kind of like overall strategy now? Is it just social media? Like, what do you do?
I would say it's less a strategy than whatever I'll say it is. But probably like, I mean, I definitely should at some point like sit down and be like, where do I want this to be in 5 years? And kind of like playbook how to get there. But as of right now, it's just been a lot of social media. You know, like I have some non-social media strategies. Like I made the book that I made for the Olympic trials. I made this whole like, basically I brought this camera with a ton of film to the Olympic trials and like snuck around taking photos. And then I would come home and draw over the photos. And then I made this like 160 page like coffee table book. And it took forever to get printed. And I just finally, they made it to Idaho 3 days ago, and they'll make it. I was hoping they'd be here for this, but they show up later this week.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But that's kind of like a whole nother, it's like basically my goal at the moment is just to get myself out there. I'd say like that's my strategy is just like get exposure to everyone and anyone I can. So social media is a really easy way to do that. This book is another goal of mine. I've been sending it to, or been talking to like run stores. They're gonna like sell it in their store, but
cool.
For, my goal is just to break even. I'm like not trying to make money on it, but I printed 500 of them, which is like a ton of books.
For
anyone that's like tried to sell books, like I'm getting a whole pallet of books.
Yeah, it's a lot of books.
And they're like this thick, and I think they're like maybe 11 by something. They're like big.
Nice. Okay.
So they're gonna take. I don't know where I'm gonna put them, but I'm gonna send those out to. Yeah, a little fun space. But I'm gonna like. I've been like reaching out to a lot of people that like I look up to, and people that work at brands that I think are doing really cool stuff, and just be like, hey, what's your address? Like, I'll send you a book, and then it's like, you know, exposure, just like showing them who I am.
That's awesome. I also just created a little bit of a book magazine, kind of my 2025 favorite races I went to, or 2024, sorry, favorite races I went to, and the photos. I only printed 50. Yeah. Because it is very expensive to print.
Yeah. And, it gets cheaper when you print more than 100, I found out.
Yes, it gets way cheaper. Yeah. I was like at 50 quantity, it was like $30 a magazine.
Yeah, I think.
And I was like, damn, that's a lot of money. But what you printed 500 or probably like
500, mine were like 10 a book.
It gets much cheaper when you do large quantities. Well, I hope you sell it, because my goal was also to just break even and sell out. And I don't think I'm there, but
I'll probably get there over time.
Yeah, exactly, over time. And you're also doing a good job of kind of getting other people involved. I was like just trying to activate SFRC community, which is a much smaller community. But I really enjoyed that process of designing a book.
Yeah, it was really fun to do.
It's so cool, right? I don't know if it's just because it's different. Were you doing it in InDesign?
No, I should have done it in InDesign. I hate InDesign. I like learned InDesign back when I worked at this agency, and we had to do like basically like guidelines were done in InDesign, publications and that type of stuff, and I just find it infuriating. So I did it all on Illustrator.
Oh, you did? Okay. Yeah. Would you just do separate pages, or can Illustrator do like a multi-page book kind of layout?
I did. You can do basically each artboard.
Okay.
And then you put a bleed on them. It's not the way to do it. I got to like page like. I set up the whole thing and then got to page like 30 and was like, I should have done this in InDesign. But it did allow me to do some unique things. Yeah. Which was cool because you are kind of setting up each page as its own thing.
Yeah. InDesign is a little funky, but also like for laying something out, it kind of has like the basics of just like page stuff. But kudos to you for doing it all in Illustrator, man. Yeah. I love Illustrator. That's a task. Yeah, I'm sure that's your app. Yeah, I like learned Illustrator because I learned Photoshop in like early high school and then Illustrator in late high school. And now Illustrator is just like everything ends its process in Illustrator for me. Yeah. Illustrator is great. I used to do a lot of laser cutting and just like do a lot of graphic design in Illustrator.
I want a laser cutter so bad.
Dude, we should go in on one.
Yeah, they're expensive, but if we went in on it, it does help.
Yeah. This little co-op space in Richmond next to me just got a little laser, one of the Glowforge lasers. Yeah. And I was messing around with it. It's so fun.
Are the Glowforge ones good?
They have a cheapo Glowforge one, so it doesn't cut through deep materials. It can cut through like, paper or like thin wood stock. Okay. But it'd be nice to have like a proper laser where
the one I had in college, our like Maker Lab, had like some of the like massive ones. Yeah. You could cut through like anything. Yeah. Yeah, it was cool.
Have you ever been to Noisebridge?
No.
So check out Noisebridge. They're a little makerspace community down in the Mission, and free membership, kind of like a co-op model.
Yeah.
But they have a giant laser,
That's
where Eleanor does a lot of her lasering.
Oh, cool.
It's great if you need to laser something down there. It's got a big bed on it. But, one thing I really enjoyed lasering too was etching glass cups.
Yeah.
Like beer mugs.
Yeah, doing engraving.
Yes, engraving. Yes. That was super fun. And
I loved that thing. That was like what a lot of my sculptures in college were like, laser cut, then laser engraved.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's like the number one. When I get a house someday and I have my like little studio set up, like
I have like a list of
list.
things. Laser cutters high up on it, and then I want the like, the massive, like FedEx has one, like the printers that are like they can print like 42 inches wide.
Yes.
I want one of those.
Yes. They have you seen the Harvey Milk Photo Center?
No.
Photo Lab? They have one of those down there.
Okay.
It's pretty expensive to print on their printers, but it can print, which is cool.
My hack is FedEx. You can print black and white at FedEx on really shitty paper for 70 cents a square foot.
That's cheap.
Yeah.
That's cheap.
It's like a massive print. Like I do a lot of like wheat pasting and like a lot of the stuff I'm doing for like, where I'll like paint over pictures. I think I love high quality paper. When you hear really nice paper, like it's the best feeling ever. But like if it's gonna go behind glass, it doesn't really matter. And it's like I've done some where like, if you want to test it, you can make a giant print for $15, do your whole test. And then if you're like, okay, I'm actually make this for real, then you can go print it on nice paper for like $150, $200. But just like having access to big prints for $15 is so fun.
That's nice. Yeah, that's a good hot tip. I recently bought a printer, and you have one too.
I have one too. Yeah.
13 by 19.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. Okay,
it's like the biggest you can get in an affordable price,
and something that will like fit in a house.
Yeah.
That isn't like a
exactly.
giant...
I think that was my main concern when I bought it. Is like, can I put this under my bed?
Yeah, exactly. Printing is so fun. Like paper, I've been really getting into that kind of stuff. It's just like the physical. And something I really appreciate about your art too is, even though you love Illustrator, you lean into physical creations.
Totally. I mean, I think for anything to like exist as its final product, it has to exist in the real world. Like,
tell me more about this.
I mean, like digital art is. I mean, it's probably a lot of hot take to like digital artists, but like even I don't know, digital artists print their artwork. Yeah. But like I think if you make something and it lives behind a screen, and it just lives on social media, like that's a great thing, and it's a great way to make stuff quickly and not like the act of actually painting something takes forever, and you can make stuff way quicker online. But if you want to like put something in a gallery or have it be like a like quote unquote piece of artwork, I think it has to be something that like you can go see in the real world. And there's ways there's so many. If you want to put a giant TV screen in the gallery and put your photo on it, I'll call that in the real world. It doesn't need to literally be printed, but I think the act of like having it on canvas or on paper or like in something that's not just like a file on a computer is really cool.
Yeah, I think there's also something to the process being different. When you're making something digital and you're saying it's quicker and you can kind of turn things out quicker.
Yeah.
And again, nothing against digital artists. I think it's more of just our preference.
Yeah.
But when you make something physical, it takes so much longer, but that length of time is actually, I think, good. And helpful to creating something a little bit more meaningful to you. Or
I mean, it's like, we all know the feeling when you're making something with your hands and you fuck it up and you're like, I just spent like so much time and it's ruined. And like that's why I love digital stuff, is because you just 2-finger undo. Yeah. Like it's the best tool ever. Yeah. Yeah. But no, I agree.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, and I'd be curious to get you go deeper on that a little bit. Like, do you feel like the creative process helps you, grow as a human?
Yeah. I mean, I think I mentioned earlier on in my process that I commonly start digitally. And I think it helps me be way more creative. Like, I think when I was in college, I got an iPad and I did all my in life drawing, they still made me do all the paper and pencil stuff, which was super beneficial. Like when I was in class doing drawings, paper and pencil. But like when I would do my homework, I would do a lot of it digitally. Or a lot of my final projects would be digital, and then I would print them, or I would draw them and then cut them out on the laser cutter and like find a way to make my digital thing exist in the real world. But I think being able to work on a like iPad or a computer where you have access to so many mediums so quickly, like in Procreate, I can be like, would this look good in a spray paint brush? No, let's try watercolor. No, let's try oil paint. Like, And I can go through all my different brushes, be like, oh, what if I did it really scratchy? What if I did all, I can like try 100 different things. And then when I get to the real world, you know, like I know, oh, this is about what it would look like if I did this with spray paint or like color pencil. And I can kind of make that decision having either literally tried it or having like tried 50 different things with both ways in the past. And I think it definitely like opens your ability to just experiment and be more creative. And then when you're actually making the thing that I view as like the real product or the final product, you've been able to experiment a lot more. And like I think I said in that quote, like creativity is like, I don't remember the exact quote, but creativity is like trying things and art is picking them. And like digital allows you to try a lot more things.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Have you tried all the brushes? There are so many brushes.
Oh, I've tried so many, and I've downloaded a lot. my Procreate is like,
So
and
many.
I could like, I've taught a couple Procreate workshops, and like I spend like probably like 15 minutes just being like, okay, here are the brushes you actually need to know. And like, I mean, everyone has their preference, but I spend time being like, here's the ones I use, here's how I use them.
I think I need to take your Procreate workshop. I'm doing this gig right now for a brand that I have to kind of draw on my final video. And I've been using Procreate Dream.
Yeah, Procreate Dreams is great.
But I only have used a few brushes. I don't really know the brush landscape. And I found one that I was like, yeah, this looks good.
Which one do you use?
Oh, I don't know the name of it off the top of my head. I could figure, maybe I could find it later. Oh, it's on my iPad, which I don't have with me. But
no, I have like all the names of the brushes. I'm like, I'm deep in the brush world.
That's amazing.
Yeah, when Grace, the junior designer intern, came over, like one of the first things I did is I bought her an iPad, and then I just like sent her every brush I owned, and was like, like here you go.
Dude, you bought her an iPad. Can I intern for you?
Yeah. Well, because I wasn't allowed to pay her for her class. And I felt terrible. I was like, you're actually going to help me a ton. And she didn't have an iPad. And her school wasn't teaching her Procreate. And like for everything I do, if she's going to help me, she needs an iPad. And it's a tax write-off. But also like, I don't know, I wanted to help a little bit. So I bought her an iPad. Like just like, you know, the basic. I think I bought her like the cheapest iPad Air. I was like, here you go.
It works great. I'm glad you said tax write-off.
Yeah.
We needed that to get into the podcast somehow.
Yeah. Everything's tax write-off.
Everything's tax write-off. I think that sometimes artists struggle with kind of those more mundane aspects of running a business that like you should be writing off everything you use to run your business, and you should be keeping track of that, accounting, all that stuff.
It's so hard though.
It's hard and it's boring. And I also find for me, at least, sometimes I can get caught up in it and I'll stop like thinking about the creativity and I'll just get into a mode of just checking all the boxes of like, are my accountings, you know, like in order? Are my finances like, you know, have I checked to make sure I've gotten all paid from all my invoices? Like, which is all stuff you got to do, you know, but
no, I feel like I'm good at it, but definitely not great at it. I have like, people always owe me money. I'm like,
always. That's like being an independent person. Is that you always are owed money by someone.
I know. I'm like, I have bills to pay, and they owe me. I'm like, if everyone just paid me right now, I'd be in a great spot.
Totally.
But yeah, no, a big hack is I got a business credit card, so then now I can like split what's on which card, and that at the end of the year saves me so much time. But I'm still not good at it. I'm like probably losing out on a good amount of money, not writing off everything. But
you're just a sole proprietor.
Yes, I set up an LLC.
Oh, you're an LLC. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But it's a single person owned LLC, so you can file your taxes as an independent. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I feel like I'm also like a software developer. I used to be a software developer.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll get frustrated with a lot of the accounting tools and be like, I should build my own. And I'll go like a week where I haven't done anything with like my actual job and just like was in software again. And then I was like, no, I left software engineering
that's honestly
to be
it's a good
more
thing
creative.
I don't know
I need
software.
to stop doing that.
Yeah. I mean, I do the same, but a less fun or a less helpful version is I'll get into my like Google Sheet and I'm like, this file needs to look better. Change all the fonts, and I'm gonna like make it on brand and change the colors of the cells and put some fun like cell artwork over here and But I don't spend a whole week, luckily, just like a couple hours.
Okay, that's nice. Yeah. Do you find yourself able to focus well, like when you have to get down to the art? Like, is your day to day? Do you have cut out hours of the day to focus? You know, what do you?
Yeah, I'd say I go through like ups and downs, like weeks where I'm like grinding, and then weeks where I'm not as. I think it's definitely like based on how busy I am is how effective I am. If I have a lot of projects, I'm like way more effective than if I have like however much time I have to get a project done is how much time it'll take me to get the project done. So like, yeah, but I don't know. It's like as effective as I can be. I feel like I'm being your own like boss or working for yourself, like sometimes I feel like helps with that, you know, like if I didn't get it done, I have no one to blame but myself. If I did get it done, then like I reap all the rewards. But yeah, I mean, I have like tricks that I try to do to make me more effective, but sometimes it's just not happening. Yeah.
Yeah. You can only try so many productivity tricks, and
yeah,
at the end of the day, you just gotta like eliminate all distractions and just focus in.
Yeah. Totally.
Do you ever struggle with like focusing on the art, or like projects that maybe just you couldn't like get into it? Or?
Yeah. I mean, I have projects I like doing and projects I don't like doing.
Yeah.
And I'm like pretty ADD, so like sometimes focusing is just a hard time. But like if it's a more illustrative project, then I'm stoked. If it's a more photo project, then I'm stoked. If it's a more like logo project or like modern brand style project, I'm less excited. But sometimes you can get really into it. It's just like hard for me. Those are the ones I don't like. If I don't know, if it's hard for me to make it feel like it's mine, then sometimes I get more into like trying to weave in how can I make it feel like it's mine, and then I just get like more sucked in, and then it doesn't work, and then I'll get defeated, and then like. But honestly, my biggest trick is just like when I'm not feeling something, just like if you can pause it for a day, and when you come back to it tomorrow, you're usually like in a much better space.
That's smart.
No.
Yeah, that's interesting too, as like an artist where you focus so much on your own stuff, but then also having client work on the side, which is oftentimes trying to mix what they saw that they liked of you, but also making it for them.
Yeah.
Which can be
totally
sometimes stripping away your style, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I feel like I have so many things I tell myself when I feel like I'm doing that, but like one thing I tell myself is like all of my favorite artists were in some ways designers. It's just what they were designing for. Not like literally all of them, but like if you learn about all the Renaissance painters, like they were all commissioned by the church. If I'm doing a project that's commissioned by like Apple is just now the church of today.
Yeah.
You know, like that's just where our, like the power structure of the world is now.
Yeah.
And so like, you know, like I'm sure some of them didn't want to be painting, you know, like whatever religious figure again for the 100th time.
Yeah.
But that's how it goes.
Their 18th Sistine Chapel or whatever.
Yeah. They're like, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's cool. Okay, so I guess in the business side of things, you know, do you find that you are at a point now where you kind of have a good backlog of clients, or do you kind of still have feast and famine moments? Like, how's that all going?
I think I have like feast and famine moments and some backlog moments as well. Like, I think I have, if I wanted to take on every project that came, I could have a lot of backlog projects, but I try to only take projects that either pay well, like fit my, are like a good connection, or a good portfolio project. Like it needs to be 2 of the 3 probably, maybe 1 of the 3 if it's like great. But if it's like someone I don't really know, it's not a portfolio project where like it's not going to be pretty, it's not going to be in my niche, it's not something I personally care about, and they don't have a budget, I probably won't take it unless it's like I'm literally doing nothing and it's like a 2-day project and they hit me up right then and I'm like, sure. But then I'll get really busy and I'll like try to push back projects, but a lot of times people I feel like will hit you up and they'll be like, I need this right now or in like 3 weeks. And I'm like, well, we'll be free in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then so like you can't really push them back. Sometimes you just have to turn them down.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been working on my saying no. I'm like a yes man at heart.
I think,
like,
to be your own like person, you have to be like, to have your own business, you kind of just have to be a yes man most of the time.
Yeah.
So
and I think it's good when you're early on in your career because you just need to kind of get the reps in and make the connections and all that. But at some point, you find out like, is this worth my time? Is this worth what they're going to pay me? Is it like exciting for me?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to know up front. You know?
It's really hard to know. Yeah. And I feel like I always try to err on taking the project if I don't know. But yeah. And I feel like you can get creative on trying to find ways to make it more. Like you can negotiate with things that aren't pay that make it more your thing. Like sometimes if people come to me and it's not the perfect project, I'll just be like, sure, but you get no critiques and I get to do whatever I want. And then most of the time they're like, fine. And you're like, all right, now I'm excited.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I'm trying to in my own career trying to say no more just to have more space for the projects I do have.
Yeah.
Because at first you're like, well, I like money.
Yeah.
Like money's good.
You're like, and I get to do what I want to do during the day. This is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. But eventually it comes to find out that like I can create better work if I do less gigs and maybe charge a little bit more for them.
Totally.
You know, in that on that kind of note, you know, are there some clients that you've had that are, you know, what is like a good client to you? What is kind of shows up? How do they work with you? What does that look like?
Yeah. I'd say, I mean, a good client is someone that's like, I'd say a good client is someone that pushes back. That like they're standing their own ground a little bit too, but in a way where they respect you standing your own ground. So like sometimes, you know, if they'll let you do anything, then you're like, oh, what should I do? But if they're like so strict in what they want, then you're like fighting too for what you want, and it turns into a bit more of a fight. Someone that kind of like, you know, will let you do your thing but pushes back, gives you more than 3 weeks ideally. But I mean, I think my favorite thing is just like someone that speaks like a person, you know, responds in a like a human being, has like real life problems that they're probably dealing with too. So like you can kind of like work together to fix their problem, like as a design problem, rather than just like, you know, clocking in, clocking out type of thing. But most of the people I work with are pretty good. One of the best things about, you know, having your own business is if someone's not good to work with, you just don't work with them.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's some of the best. Yeah. That's like why I left agency life, because you have much less of a choice in agency life than when it's just you. Yeah, I think I agree. I think like it's nice when clients have some vision, but are looking to work with you and how you create stuff. Again, it comes back to that collaboration that I miss from like being in an office environment. Where like if you can work with someone to create something together, that's like way more beneficial than they're just like, yeah, we like what you do, so just go do it. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
I feel like art needs bounds in some way. You know?
Yeah, I agree with that. But yeah, I mean, I think like working with Beta Breakers was probably one of my favorite. Like, they were so great to work with. Some of the work I've done with Brooks was amazing. All the like Nike Eakins are like generally 10 out of 10 to work with. Like their budgets are usually smaller, but like as people, they're usually just like fun people, roughly our age, that are like having a good time and like have fun projects. So they're always great to work with.
Thank you for including me on our age, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, we're like same general rough world of like, you know, but yeah, Hoka's great to work with. Love working with Hoka. All the like running brands, you know, in the running world, everyone's pretty great. Like I feel like there is this like, to work in the industry of running calls a certain type of person, and I generally like being around those types of people.
They usually have some sort of running background themselves, and so you can resonate with them a little bit more.
Totally, and it's like we're not doctors, we're not saving people's lives. We're out here like most of the time selling shoes or like t-shirts or like races. Like all these things are fun, and they're high stress, but they're not like the end of the world. If something fails, like no one's dying. And someone might get fired, but no one's dying. Like, you know.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm curious about, you mentioned this earlier about how you've been using ChatGPT for some things.
Yeah.
And so now I'm curious about your whole take on what's going on in AI and art.
Fair.
Because it is quite interesting.
It's definitely something I think about. I mean, I use ChatGPT a lot as a like, basically like a coworker to bounce ideas off of. It's nice just to like talk to someone. I plug in every quote I give to ChatGPT. So now it kind of knows, like now when I'm quoting people, I just be like, hey, here's what they asked for. What do you think, knowing me, I should charge? And I'm like, well, you charge this much for this client, this much for this client. They're here. So it like helps me a lot on kind of the like back end business stuff. Like it's not really coming up with ideas for me as much as just like, you know, fine tune back end stuff. And being dyslexic, it helps me write. I'm like not a great writer, or not a great writer in the sense of like I'll write something and it will be like, that's terrible spelling. Like it'll like kind of rewrite it and then I'll rewrite it again and then, but yeah, I mean, as far as AI and art go, yeah, I mean, I have a lot of like, I'm not sure exactly how to feel about it, to be honest. Like I think that like AI is kind of coming for everyone, so I don't feel as an artist specifically targeted. I get bummed when I see like a Skechers ad that was clearly done by AI, and I'm like, damn. But I also don't think it looks that good. I'm sure it'll look better as time goes on. I'd say I try to not get like upset or angry at anyone or the industry or the world. I more am like, what can I do to better set myself up? And I feel like as far as designers go, I'm in a better position. I think the best thing you can do is probably build a personal brand, and I try to focus on that now, knowing AI is coming. Like eventually AI will probably be able to do everybody's job better than anybody, but it can't be me. It's the one thing it can't do. So like if someone like end all goal would be if someone would rather work with me than with, like I'm not the best artist out there. I'm not the best designer. I'm not the best multimedia person. Like nothing I do is better than anyone else. The people that are working with me are generally working with me because they found out about me from somewhere. They're local. They're like in the running world. Like there's something about me in particular that calls them. It might be my work for some people, but like definitely some percentage of people are coming to me for me. And if I can build that brand of me, then AI can't replace that.
It's a good way to think about it.
Yeah. But like, I mean, AI is definitely like, I definitely think about it when I post my work online. I'm like, I just recently linked my Pinterest to my Instagram. And I'm like, was that a terrible idea? Because now all my artwork's on Pinterest and they're definitely farming Pinterest for ideas. And then I'm like, well, like, all right, well, I don't have the energy to like try and fight AI. Like it's going to crush me if I try.
Yeah.
And
they're probably already scraping everything off Instagram.
They're probably already scraping Instagram, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, because there's so much coming out there like, you guys use this data set without asking anyone?
Yeah.
You're like, no.
It's like they definitely are.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not going to beat OpenAI's lawyers on any battle I ever take on. Like, I just will never have the ability to win that fight.
Yeah.
So like, why fight?
It almost comes back to something we talked about earlier about other artists copying your work. It's always going to be behind in your work.
Yeah.
Totally. It will never be able to create the next Zach Litoff artwork, right?
Exactly.
So there's some of that too, I think. And then also you're right. I don't think it will ever become a human or like we will be able to replace us, but maybe not in our lifetime at least.
I mean, maybe it will, and then maybe I'll be wrong, but like, I don't know.
I also thought it was something else interesting you said is talking about being the best artist or the best this. And I feel like that thinking of the concept of best relates to competition.
Yeah.
And, competition is a business capitalism thing. And art is very much abundant.
Yeah.
And expression should be abundant. And being an artist should be abundant.
Yeah.
But you got to mix these two worlds because you do need to live and survive in this world that is based around money, and you do need to, but you want to express yourself as an artist, you know, and you're the best Zach Litoff there is that I know of.
I hope so.
What do you think about the competition like that? Because you're also a competitive runner, so like that kind of plays into it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a very competitive person, but I love sports for that reason. Like whenever I'm playing like dumb games, I always get like way into wine. I'm not like the person that's like flipping the table angry. Like I'm not an angry person, but like I'm a very competitive person. But it's one thing I kind of mentioned. One thing I like, running's very stressful to me. Like racing's very stressful. I like care so much. I want to do well, and art isn't as much that way. Like it's I want to. The Instagram makes it more competitive because there's metrics to it, and like. The capitalism side of it assigns money to it. And like, I definitely find myself getting into that sometimes, but like, that's not my goal with it. I definitely like the abundance side of it more. Like that's what everyone who's an artist most of the time loves about art. But again, I kind of just like, when I get annoyed about those types of things, I try to just remind myself like, nothing's new. Like I'd rather be probably in this world than making paintings for the church. That's all the same, Mary and daughter painting or whatever. Over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Quickly
to come back to AI art, do you think in the concept of what art is, do you think AI is creating art, or do you think that it is just
like
random?
Replicating?
Is it? I mean, AI slop is what some people call the stuff it generates. Do you find like, how do you look at that?
I guess it's creating art in some rudimentary level. Like it's creating something that is interesting to look at. But I don't think it's creating like, it doesn't have a personal touch to it, which is what I enjoy about art. Like it's not something I'm into. Like if I went to a gallery and it was all AI paintings, it could be interesting because you'd be like, oh wow, this is crazy. This is a gallery that's all AI paintings. But
Right.
that would be the art that I find interesting,
Right.
not the actual art
Right.
that the AI made.
Right.
More the idea that AI can make art is art, I guess. But like, it doesn't like, AI is just like copying. It's just like a predictive software.
Right.
So it's just predicting what could be good. And I think the fact that it's like okay at it is that the like idea behind AI is kind of art in itself. The like code is art, like, and what it can create is the like thing that we can see. But like, definitely don't want to give AI too much credit. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know. It's like, it is kind of just copying everyone.
It's interesting because I think, when you look at an artwork, you're looking at it and you're visually maybe stimulated or excited at what you're looking at, but you're also learning about that artist. It
Totally.
is a
That's
picture.
like when you go to a gallery, the first thing you do is the white wall with the whole paragraph about the artist.
Right.
You're like, oh wow, they had this experience that inspired this thing.
Right.
And like,
there's context, there's storytelling, there's humanity in the artwork.
And AI doesn't have that.
No, none of that. So that gives me hope. That I think that like for me, AI art isn't art, and it's maybe something visually interesting.
Yeah, that visually. Yeah, that's kind of what I
right.
Like at a very rudimentary level, if you want to call art anything visually interesting, then it is that. But it's not a story. And I feel like one thing that kind of gives me hope as well is the way we're going as a world right now is who can be a better storyteller. And no matter what industry you're in, like I want to be an artist, but basically I'm getting judged by how good of a storyteller I am on Instagram. And like even as like a photographer, it's like how good of a story can you tell through your photos right now? Like and AI just can't tell any story. It's a trash storyteller. Like it has no story.
Yeah.
So
it has no lived experience. Yeah, it has no identity.
Like it can write. I'm sure it could write a book and write a story, and it's probably doing as good at that as it is at making images.
Yeah.
Maybe better because it's started doing word prediction before image predictions, but like it still hasn't created a story for itself or for why it's creating what it's creating. So like it's not that interesting in that sense.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, it's interesting world we live in because I think I've seen also some brands use AI art, and it is sad in a way because you're like, that maybe could have gone to like a creative person.
Yeah, it could have gone to a creative person, and it usually is like it's not
It's
that
obvious.
Good. It's obvious,
yeah.
And it's like I am now just not going to buy your thing.
It's off-putting.
It's like it's like that doesn't feel human. It doesn't feel like when I'm buying. If I'm buying a pair of shoes, I'm probably bought into the story behind those shoes. Like, oh, X pro runner got those shoes and I think they're sick and that's why I'm buying them. Or they had this sweet, like Bandit's doing such a good job with all the videos behind their work right now. And they're creating this whole story behind their brand that's like awesome.
Really good.
Yeah.
They crush it.
Yeah, they're absolutely crushing it. I'm like, damn, that's sick. But then like see a random ad on the side of the road that's like person's arms all not
weird.
Human looking and the shoe's like off and I'm like, you didn't even want to put the real shoe in. Like I'm like, wow. Yeah.
I find it kind of something else you mentioned about how trying hard is cool again. Using AI is very much not trying hard.
Yeah.
And so I think it's cool to see culture kind of come back to like, no, trying hard is cool. And putting effort in is cool. And like putting in that sweat equity, putting in that like
totally
making something physical and real is cool. And that gives me hope that like there's a little rebellion against the tech companies pushing so much about how AI is amazing. And I personally think it's overhyped, but it's cool to see like culture is kind of like, well, maybe we don't like it.
I agree. I definitely think it's gonna be the next 10 years is gonna be wild in every industry. And like art will probably be one of the more visible ones that's talked about just because we have a strong human connection to it. But like it's gonna be crazy to see it everywhere.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that's a good way to maybe start wrapping this up. I know I've been chatting with you for a while now. So some things I'm curious about too, what inspires you? Who inspires you? We kind of talked about the art history side of it, but now, currently, who do you get inspiration from?
Yeah.
Or what do you get inspiration from?
Yeah, I mean, definitely running. I feel like my inspirations change commonly just like based on where I'm at. I always have like a group of like 3 or 4 like right now artists that I think are like amazing. And if I go back, they change. Like Will Bryant was probably one of my favorite artists. Still is, but like right out of college, like everything he did, I was like, that's the coolest thing ever. And I just recently like went back. I hadn't seen his work for a while. And I'm like, oh, wow, he's still crushing it. But like now I have like other, like there's this guy, his Instagram's Andrew Sketch. I'm blanking on his last name. Okay. But he does super cool stuff. and he's a huge inspiration for me. On like the content side, Kate Weinberg's a girl in San Francisco. She makes like videos around drawing in the sports world as well, and she's like so creative at storytelling. Her storytelling is so inspiring to me. I luckily I get to work with her a lot and kind of pick her brain on how she comes up with her ideas. But like from a storytelling side, definitely her. And then just like the world around me, honestly, like going to art galleries anytime I travel, going to new museums, picking up like random zines and coffee shops, and then like my photo roll is just like littered with like graffiti. I kind of am coming out of a phase of that, but still find that really inspiring. Michael Jang's like a wheat paste artist here in San Francisco. Hey, did you go to the SF MoMA sports exhibit?
No, I didn't.
It was insane.
Oh, I missed that.
It might still be up. You should go before it's down.
Oh, heck
if it's
yeah.
not. But they have a whole exhibit on sports, and he's like
cool.
a photographer here, a bit older now, but a lot of his photos are done back in the 70s on film.
Oh, cool.
And he kind of was just like a guerrilla photographer around the city. And he also wheat pastes up a ton of stuff.
Cool.
Like mainly in the Richmond, so it's a lot of like black and white photography that's just like pasted to walls. He was a huge inspiration for me. And he gets stuff up so high where I'm like, he's like 70 or 80. I don't know how he's doing that.
That's amazing.
But he's really cool. I'm a fan of him. Yeah, I mean, there's like local people. I feel like I have so many different inspirations. There's photographers, a lot of like scenes, like the New York scene, I feel like is super inspiring.
They really have some great photographers.
Yeah, the like LA run club scene I find really cool.
Yeah.
There's just like, you know, culture in general, no matter where you're looking, there's always something that's cool to pull from.
Do you find that's kind of like how you find your inspiration, whether it be going to art galleries or finding people on Instagram? Is that how you mainly do it?
I think just kind of, like lived experience is what I'm seeing. And I spend too much time on Instagram, so I'm probably pulling too much from Instagram just because like that's where I'm running my business on the most forefront.
Yeah.
But then like, you know, anytime like all the galleries in SF are amazing. I was just in LA and I checked out some there and they were amazing.
Cool.
And just like, you know, like coffee table books are honestly so good. Like the museum books, gift shops. Anytime I'm there, it's like better than the museum itself because it's just like, I mean, it's not better than the museum itself, but it's like 100 galleries in one. You can just like flip through every artist and take pictures and pictures and pictures.
Yeah.
So probably still my number one inspiration would still just be like, you know, the artists from the past.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. I also love like grabbing quick phone photos of like things that inspire me in books or something. I'm still trying to like curate some previous inspirations. I've never taken an art history course or anything.
You should.
It's like trying to, I know it would be really nice.
It's just hard to choose which one to take, but.
Yeah. I've taken some courses at the community college, the CCC.
Yeah. They have some cool ones.
Yeah. Cool. Well, anyways, do you think there's other people that I should chat with in SF or Bay Area who are runner creative mixes?
There's a guy, Ben, who I can connect you with. He's really cool. He's doing a lot of cool stuff. Also a photographer. I feel like it'd be cool to branch into more like, I mean, I could try to connect you with Kate. She's not as much in running. But there's definitely like a cool pop and art scene here. It would be cool to like venture less. I mean, if you could get Michael Jang, that would be the coolest person.
Yeah.
Yeah. He lives in off Clement. I see him at the farmer's market. If you go to the farmer's market every Sunday, you'll see just like old Asian man with the like cart full of vegetables.
He's on Clement.
Yeah, he'll have his hat kind of low.
Right next to me.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you know I mean, all the stuff that's wheat pasted on Clement is basically him. Occasionally it's me, but it's usually him.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah, he would be my like probably the coolest interview you could get.
Okay. I'll have to look into that. Very cool. Okay, let me just make sure before we wrap up that I had everything I wanted to talk to you about.
Yeah.
For my notes here. Yeah, we talked about all that. Great.
Cool.
And then let me just check my thing here. Yeah, who else should I talk to? Yeah. I think that's it, man. Well,
cool.
Dude, thank you so much for doing this.
This was fun.
Was it fun? Good,
yeah,
good.
It was a good time.
You know, after, I don't even know when it'll go live. I'm trying to do a few of them and have a backlog before I start pushing them.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I want to do them in person. And I want to do them maybe only like once every other week or something. I'm not trying to make a time commitment for this. I want it to be more meaningful having conversations than any type of social media agenda.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But
yeah, let me know before you do.
Yeah, for sure.
to, like,
We'll
plug it.
coordinate. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Do you have anything else you'd like to say about art, creativity, your process, running that we didn't talk about? Anything that like interests you?
I feel like we went through a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
check out the book I made. Like,
I'm excited to check it out. I maybe have to come back and get some like, or maybe you can just send me some video
Yeah,
of
I
you
can
flipping
send you
through
a
it.
book.
Would be nice. Yeah, one thing I do want to highlight actually is maybe something recent you've made that you're excited about. So maybe it could be the book.
Yeah, probably it would be the book because I'll have a lot of those. But I'm really excited about it. I think it's like it's also, I called it the last Olympic trials, and it's about how the world of track is changing and how this one was like, I mean, everyone's the last of the era it's in, but like, I think right now track's blown up so much where it really is kind of the last one, especially with the next Olympics being in LA, where like so much money is going to be pumped into it, where like the kind of grassroots story behind running that we've had up until this point won't exist anymore.
Interesting.
And also like me growing up running, being involved in college running, that's kind of such a level. I have like the like runner side of it as well as the like artist, creative photographer side of it. And so I kind of just like tell the story of the way that I see it changing, but mainly through artwork, also through some like small amount of written stuff. But
very cool.
Yeah.
Do you feel like because of this influx of money, it's going to be more like professional baseball or football? Like it's going to be people coming into it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely good.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's net good, but it is like change. And with any change, you know, you're going to lose something that was also really good. But I think it will probably bring it closer to like something like a football or a baseball. But I mean, you can already see it. Grand Slams looks awesome. There's more races. Athletes are going to get paid more. Hopefully there'll be more transparency in how much they're getting paid. But like, just like the general trend of running is it's cooler now. You know, the stadiums are cooler. Everything about the sport's cooler. The social media is cooler. The creatives in the space are cooler. Like everything's trending. But this like grassroots underground kind of like gritty way that it was is like on the out a little bit. I mean, that's a gross like consolidation of my thoughts, but yeah.
Yeah, I think trail is going through a similar reckoning right now where there's a lot of money influx and big brands trying to get into the trail scene. And, you know, there's also some worry that like a lot of the influx of money might not be sustainable or long term.
Yeah.
It might be trying to squeeze a sport a little bit to get for these companies to make money. And, you know, we've seen some companies already try to back out after just getting to the sport maybe a year or two ago.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely worry about, you know, whether it's authentic for these companies to be doing this and whether it's going to be net good for the community and, you know, people on both sides. It's like, yes, it's great. Like people like us can make more money because running's cooler. People who are doing the running, the athletes can make more money because there's more money to be had. And, you know, that is all good. And I hope that it can find some sustainable, happy place where like it doesn't get too crazy and, you know,
I mean,
everyone gets pulled away.
Yeah. And a big fun part of it for me too was I like kind of snuck in, took all these photos to like the meet was still running a very, like I knew all the people that were standing that were like guarding the sections because they were like family friends or people I had met from running in Eugene like 3 times a year. Like I kind of just knew, like the whole running world's so small. But I feel like with the next one being in LA and it being the Olympics, it's not going to be that way. And then after that, it's going to be 8 years from now. It's going to be like a whole different world.
Yeah.
So like that kind of like connection side of the sport, I also could see getting lost a little bit just as it gets so much bigger. Like Netflix was there and like Netflix had their own box. They weren't talking to anybody. I'm stoked they were there. Like, you know, this Netflix documentary has brought in, I have so many friends that were not fans of track that watched it and were like, that was sick. Like, no, wow, it's awesome. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, no, Wells is awesome. Like it was sick and it's great and it's good, but like it is also sad at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. We'll see how it all plays out. You were just in LA for the marathon.
I was there for the marathon mainly.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And you were doing art. Were you just kind of there for yourself or were you doing art around?
One of my college teammates was running and he got 10th, which was awesome.
Oh,
and then
heck
my sister ran and she got 9th. So I was just cheering. Yeah.
Your sister's also a badass?
Yeah, she's a sick runner.
Oh,
she's also a running coach.
Oh, cool. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so if you wanted someone to interview on that side,
okay.
Her.
Yeah. What does she do for, is she artist or anything?
She's just like full-time running coach. She has like 20, 25 clients she coaches.
She in the Bay Area?
San Diego.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she was coming up, I went down. And then I also just got waterproof housing for my camera. So I
saw that you were doing surf stuff.
Yeah, so I was like my college roommate and like one of my best friends lives down there. And I was like, I'll come down a couple days early and we can just go surfing.
Sick.
Yeah.
Was that a fun experience?
It was so fun. I didn't realize how hard it is to swim with a camera in your hand.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. but I'm gonna do it here and it'll be fun.
What underwater housing did you get?
It's
Aquatech
a
or
like
something?
it's like a something frog something.
Okay.
It's
yeah,
for I
yeah.
have a little
I've heard
like
of
point and
this.
shoot camera.
Yeah.
I bought that camera specifically because it had cheap waterproof housing.
Oh, okay, okay. So
Yeah.
it's not like your big DSLR.
No, it's a
Okay.
point, but it's like I think it's like f3 or f2.8. Like it's a decent camera.
Oh, nice.
It just is a zoom lens. It doesn't have anything crazy wide or crazy zoom, but
Yeah,
like it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you mainly shoot on?
I have like 6 cameras.
Yeah.
So I don't mainly shoot on one of them. I have like they're all good for different things. I have a little point and shoot film camera,
Okay.
which is 20.
Is that the Rollei 35?
No, that was my friend's camera.
Oh, okay. I
wish
saw that
had
one of your posts and I was like,
Yeah.
damn, I want one of those so
Yeah, I
bad.
would love that. It's an Olympus XA4 macro. 'Cause
Okay.
It's wide angle. Then I have a Canon F1, which was my grandpa's camera.
Mhm.
And I have a 28 millimeter, 200 millimeter, and a 55 millimeter lens for that one.
Mhm.
Then I have a Nikon Z6 with just like a 35 to 200.
Mhm.
And then, which I also just bought a 10 to 20 millimeter lens for that camera.
Whoa, fun.
Yeah, I'm stoked.
Oh, that's really fun.
Mhm.
Is it fisheye?
No.
No, 10 millimeters is pretty wide.
It's
That's
like
cool.
basically fisheye because it's not the most high quality lens,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Sick.
And then I have the Sony GX Mark III,
Okay, cool.
like a little point and shoot digital camera. And then I have Polaroid.
Cool. What's your, if you like have to grab and go, what's your one you're reaching for?
If I'm just like leaving the house, I try to always have a camera and a paint marker on me, and I'll
Mhm.
usually bring the Olympus XA4 macro film camera.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Just 'cause
Macro, you can get closer.
it's wide angle, so it's just like small, fits
Yeah.
in any of my pockets.
Oh, nice.
It's like decent lens, but it's plastic. I can like run with it.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah.
If I drop it, like not torn.
Yeah.
Has like this lens kind of slides over the lens to protect it.
Oh, cool.
And it's film, and I like shooting. Like if I'm out with a digital camera, I feel like I'll just like take pictures all day. If I have a film camera, I'll just like take one and move on.
Kind of more mindful.
Well, I'll usually
of what
take
you
2 in case the one's bad.
Just, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
Nice. Do you develop it as a PhotoWorks?
Yeah, I go to PhotoWorks.
Yeah, cool.
They're amazing.
Yeah, nice.
I would love to do it on my own. I took one class in college, but like it's expensive.
I've been going to Harvey Milk Photo Center and developing. They only have black and white stuff,
Okay.
but I've been developing my own
Yeah.
at their photo center. It's super fun.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. And they have like enlargers, so you can like,
Oh, that's sick.
yeah.
Damn.
Maybe something new for you to get
Yeah,
into.
that could be fun.
Yeah.
Uh,
Cool. Well,
Yeah.
I think that's all I had. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
chatting with me.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. This was
Yeah.
super fun.
Great. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, this
Yeah.
is super fun. Cool. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
That's it. Hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please reach out to me and tell me what you think. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.